My name is Nadiatul binti Hasanuddin.
I am CECELIA Jalani,
I am REZMAN Kurwak,
and we are from SC220.
Part 2.
Class 2A.
Today we are going to present Chapter 4, Public Finance.
On this video, we will discuss about conventional government revenue, types of government expenditure, types of tax structure, types of government budget, fiscal policy, Islamic government revenue, and Islamic government expenditure.
There are three types of resources of revenue: tax revenue, non-tax revenue, and non-revenue receipt. Tax revenue is a tax that was imposed by the government to a firm and individuals in order to raise the revenue of finance expenditure. It consists of two, which is direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax is a tax that was fall to the burden to a taxpayer and cannot shift to another person. However, indirect tax is a tax that fall on to the taxpayer but can shift the tax to another person. Non-tax revenue. Non-tax revenue is a revenue that received besides tax. For an example, sales of goods, service fees, interest, and return of investment. Non-revenue receipt. Non-revenue receipt can be consist of refunds of expenditures, refunds of overpayment, reimbursement, and reimbursement payment.
Type of government expenditure. Government expenditure can be divided into two basic categories, which is operating expenditure and development expenditure. Operating expenditure is the expenditure of operating and administrating of a government department. For example, emolument, which is referred to salaries of civil servants, service charge, debt, pension, and gratuity. Second type of government expenditure is development expenditure. Development expenditure is an expenditure for investment purposes to improve the facilities in the basic physical infrastructure. For example, economic services, social services, defense and security, and the last one is general administration.
Three types of tax, which are progressive tax, proportional tax, and regressive tax. Progressive tax is when the tax rate increase as the income increase. The higher the income that you get will be the higher the rate you will pay.
This is the progressive tax. When our income on YO, the tax rate will be on the R1. If our income increase to Y1, the rate also increase to R2. That means the rate of tax increases as income increases, or the higher income group pay more tax than the lower income group.
Proportional tax. The tax rate will remain constant as the changes of the income. For example, corporation tax.
On the proportional tax, we can see that when our income on the YO, our rate also on the RO. But increase in income will not affect the increase in RO, so the tax rate will be unchanged and remain constant.
One is regressive tax. The regressive tax when the rate tax increase as the income will decrease, or when the rate tax will be decreased as your income will be increased.
This is the regressive tax graph. We can see when our income on the YO, the rate also on the RO. But when our income increases to Y1, the rate will be decreased on the R1. So the lower income group will be paid the higher tax than the higher than the higher income groups. So, this is where the rate of tax decreases as the income increases.
Types of government budget. Firstly, deficit budget. Deficit budget is when the government expenditure is more than the tax. It is used when the economy occurs in recession. It is enable the individuals to have more money in their hand to spend for the government expenditures. For budget surplus, it is when the government is less than the tax that was imposed. It is to overcome the inflation that happened in the country. The tax will be increased and the government expenditure will be decreased. For balanced budget, it is the government expenditure will be equal to the tax that was imposed. It is so the country will use this when the country does not want to change the level of the economy because it has reached or near the full employment. Firstly, contractionary fiscal policy. It is a policy to slow down the economy or when the inflation happens. To reduce the gap of inflation, the government expenditure should be decreased and the tax that was imposed should be increased. This could help when the consumer will have less money in their hand to spend.
Sources of revenue in Islamic government include kharaj, jizya, zakat, sedekah, and tax. Tax is tax imposed to non-Muslims that should pay in the Islamic State to protection. Is the land or agricultural land owned by non-Muslims that should pay in the Islamic State. That is a prime source of the revenue for an Islamic economy. Payment of zakat is a religion duty, and zakat is collected from a full 1 year of wealthy which reaches to the nisab. In Malaysia, zakat collected by the Jabatan Agama Islam or Baitul Mal. The Islamic State has a right to impose tax as the Islamic government is responsibility for ensure that the basic needed for the citizen. Tax is the revenue of the government. The government should minimize the tax to not burden on the poor. One is sadaqah. Sadaqah like a volunteer charity. It is not compulsory. It only represents the worship to Allah by donating money or other thing that you want to donate.
Government expenditure. Islamic government expenditure can be divided into 3 basic categories, which is expenditure on tasks ordained in the Sharia. Second, expenditure necessary in the light of Sharia, and third, expenditure necessitated by tasks assigned to the state by the government. The first category of public expenditure in the Islamic economy encompasses the expenditure on responsibility in line of Sharia. These include defense, law and order, justice, need fulfillment, da'wah, and civil administration. Resources for the funding of these expenditure include the income derived from the privatization of public property, revenue beyond zakat, and other form revenue apart from the additional taxes. The second category covers expenditure that are essential for permissible activities in achieving the necessary Islamic objective. This expenditure includes the protection of the environment, scientific research, capital formation, and expenditure that be necessitated by the stabilization objective. Additionally, the government is responsible for assigning public expenditure to toward the medical treatment illness that are caused by tobacco smoking, and 4. Designing educational programs to create awareness of the harm of entertainment with non-ethical value. Third category of expenditure is for tasks allocated to state by the people. It is presumed that the people are willing to pay for the goods and services involved. A distinctive characteristic of these tasks is the supply of private goods. There are, however, other factors to consider before a decision made. In the Islamic conception of welfare, the state is responsible for establishing, maintaining, and operating the required public utilities. The Islamic State also spends on the public work of infrastructure such as bridge, irrigation canal, and road construction.
So for us,